streaming. Master, we are ready.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for coming and joining us. It's nice to see you again. Let's continue with Master YongHua's teaching of the Chan Qi. Unless you have any questions. Okay, let's get started.
So, Master, you were about to talk about slide 73, and we'll start reading on slide 74.
I'm sorry?
We'll start on reading on slide 74.
At that place, there was a hermit named Zhang. He befriended this hermit in the forest. Linjia means a friend who cultivated in the forest. So, afterwards, Fujian, the emperor of Qin from Fuqin dynasty, invited Zhang to stay. In response to Fujian's invitation, Zhang walked to this place called Mount Huayin. There, he became ill and passed away. Mount Kunlun built a vihara built himself a vihara. Where did he build this vihara? He built it on the highest peak of a mountain. The highest peak was very dangerous. If not careful, one could easily fall down. In the vihara he built, the stones were also unique and different from those around it. The stones were different, quite majestic. Next to the water, there was a waterfall. This waterfall and the water looked scary. People were terrified of the waterfall, but he lived there. So many houses were built like this. He created beautiful gardens on that mountain. There were many meditation retreat houses there. Thus, many people followed him and cultivated there. At that time, over 100 people lived there. They all listened to him lecturing sutras and speaking Dharma. He lectured sutras every day and spoke Dharma every day. When Dharma masters lecture sutras, now here in America, some Chinese Dharma masters are like this, only lecturing sutra once a week, at most 2 to 3 times. That's different from here, where we give talks every evening. What does he talk about?
可是啊，我们这天天讲。
They said, if you lecture every day, then nobody will listen.
总是有这么多人听。
But we speak Dharma here every day, and there are always so many people listening.
我相信其他地方他也天天讲，也一样会有人听，不过就是。
I believe that in other places, if they give talks every day, there will still be people who listen.
这个法师他辛苦，讲经呢也很辛苦，要把气力都预备好了，说话声音也要大一点，不能像。
However, this master was afraid of hard work. Lecturing Dharma can indeed be challenging, as it requires the teacher to prepare himself with qi and strength. They need to have their energy ready and project their voice louder.
跟法可讲经是，讲的把人都睡着了一样，讲的。
One can't lecture sutras like Fa Ke. He puts people to sleep. He talked like, I talk like this to mimic Fa Ke in Hong Kong.
这个我这么样讲，就是这个我在香港有一个叫法可，这个法可是广东的。 很有名的一个法师，他讲经呢就是这样，就是这样。
Fa Ke was a very famous Dharma master from Guangdong. When he lectured sutras, he talked like this.
好像那个，就好像那个老太婆啊，那个说话，一点都没有分别。
Sangwok. Come here.
He spoke like an old lady. There was no difference.
现在这个发可呢，发不可了。什么叫发不可了？他这个船不能行了。
Now, this Fa Ke, boat can, is Fa Buke, boat cannot. How so? This is because his boat can't travel anymore.
就是连人都不认识了，谁到那他也不认识，所以他不认识人了，也就不能发可了。 他那个发就是个船，入发语者的发，可就可以的可。
He couldn't even recognize people. No matter who arrived, he didn't recognize anyone. Because he didn't recognize anybody, he can't Fa Ke, boat can. Fa is a boat.
这个发就是言起一个船可以渡人，现在这个船不可以渡人。
Fa relates to a boat. It can cross people, but now this boat cannot cross people.
这 这位法师啊，他讲经说法，一天他也不休息，他也不说疲倦。
Dharma Master Sanglang lectured sutras and spoke Dharma. He didn't rest for even a day. He never said that he was tired.
在这个秦朝这个皇帝呀，苻坚就是福秦那个皇帝呀，听见他这个名字啊，就很恭敬。
The emperor of Qin dynasty, Fujian, the emperor of Fuqin dynasty, heard about him.
很佩服他，很崇拜他这种德行，所以啊，就派使臣呢，到那请他去。
So, the emperor respected and admired Dharma Master Sanglang greatly. He adored his virtue and conduct and sent envoys to invite him.
请他去呢，他也不去，赶这个苻坚有一个时期呀，他要淘汰这个僧人。
The emperor invited Dharma Master Sanglang, but he didn't go. There was a time Fujian wanted to eliminate Sanghins.
淘汰这个僧人呢，就是考试这个僧人，到那儿检查这个僧人。
To eliminate Sanghins was to give the Sanghins exams. They gave exams to the Sanghins.
看看你呀，是不是受戒啦？你是不是守戒律、依戒律修行啊？
Did they obtain precepts? Did they uphold precepts? Did they cultivate based on precepts?
你要不守戒律，他就必叫你还俗的。
If any Sanghin didn't follow the precepts, that Sanghin would be ordered to return to lay life.
唯独这个十僧郎这个昆仑山，他这个经舍，这个皇帝叫不要收的，不要去检查他这个地方住的和尚。
The emperor did not order a search of Shi Sanglang's vihara on Mount Kunlun, to not give exams to the monks at that place.
他说：“因为啊，这个郎公他道德清高啊，他所住的人一定也都是好的，都是修行。”
He said, because Master Long's way, virtue, is lofty, people living at his place must also be good.
所以他这个地方啊，不需要修行，不需要去搜索去，到他那边去给他麻烦。
They are all cultivators, so there is no need to search his place, no need to cause him trouble.
等到这个姚秦的时候，这个姚兴啊，也对他特别恭敬。那么在那时候有一个燕王是在北边一个也是一个土皇帝，就是这土的土。 就是地方的一个皇帝。
During the Yao Qin dynasty, Emperor Yao Xing was extremely respectful to him as well. At that time, there was a Lord of Yan in the north. He was a local ruler, Lord of the Yan area.
Okay, we stop here. Let's backtrack to the first slides. So, where were we? Ordinary people.
We start on slide 73.
72?
73.
Spell it out. So we're still talking about Seng Lang, who went to Mount Tai to cultivate by himself. And there's a hermit called Changzhong. And I don't understand this thing here. This hermit here by the name Changzhong, and he's a hermit, but the emperor knew about it, so he invited Changzhong to go to a place, whatever. And then the Changzhong went to this place and passed away. What was this about? Anyone understands what he's talking about in Chinese? It's not making sense to me. Yeah, go ahead, one.
Thank you, Master. Basically, Master YongHua just mentioned that that's part of this history. Because in Chinese history, there are always these hermits, and the emperors, the rulers, they will seek out these people to invite them to serve as their advisors.
Okay, I heard of that. I'm aware of that. But what about walked in this place and passed away? What is that about?
Oh, just so it happened like this. This guy went there, never even report to work. Just.
So why did he even talk about it? What has to do with Chan?
No,
I'm trying to understand Master YongHua's mindset. I don't get it. There must be a point, which I don't get. I see her rolling around. I see that's why. I understand why. Okay, that's very good for her. But for him to do this, I don't understand. Why is he doing this? What is he talking about? Why does he even did he even bring up Chang Chung, whatever his name is? Yeah, 5.
Maybe just contracting with the master here who did not went to Fujian according to his invitation. Zhang Zong got invited and he went and he died. Just a wild guess.
Okay. I don't understand, and it's too brief, unfortunately, and we're trying to decipher what his teaching was, and I don't get this part at all. And apparently didn't bother people at all. That they listen to this and say, huh? Why do you bring it up? For us in America, we don't let it go. Very much like if they misbehave, it's your job to punish them. You understand? You're the one who keeps things in order. All right. So he died and passed away. Big deal. So Seng Lang built vihara for pure abode for himself, and he built in the highest peak of a mountain. Is this in Mount Tai still or different? Yes.
Sorry, I just looked it up online, and there more information about Zhang Zong.
Okay.
Apparently, he's very famous, and he died on the roads, so he doesn't have to serve that Fujian, the emperor.
What is he famous for?
He's basically a Taoist. And try to, he's a cultivator, try to live a long life and eating, this pure herbs, and also try to do the alchemy.
Do the what?
Alchemy.
Alchemy.
Alchemy, yes. So basically, when the emperor, he unified the northern part of China, and he invited Zhang Zong to serve him. And Zhang Zong reluctantly go there, just die down the road. And there's some people say actually he didn't really die. He chose to just to go to the heaven, the heavenly realm.
Well, what I don't understand is if the way we speak here in America is that he was talking about Seng Lang, who befriended this
Zhang Zong.
Zhang Zhong.
Yeah.
And he's a very famous personality in the history of China.
Right.
Okay. Then there must be a connection.
Yeah, because both are cultivators, just like somebody befriended Beatles, like John Lennon. So they talked about it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that's fine. Thank you. And that's fine. However, the I'm left in suspension about this Changchung here, which I don't understand. I'm not Chinese and so forth. And so when you speak Dharma, you have to tell a story. If not, there's no point in confusing the listener.
The point also isn't that there was a saying, Venerable YongHua in his past life he was Gui Guzi. So
Yes.
So he's very into this Daoren, the Taoists who are the Taoist cultivators. And that's part of, in this circle of the cultivators. I guess, I don't know, as a Chinese, I don't feel it was so blunt when he just mentioned Zhangzong. It's culturally relevant. It's part of the history. He's almost tell a story about what happened in that time period.
Okay.
Who's
yes.
during the cultivation circle.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Thank you for the input. It's rather Chinese. We don't understand. But what surprises me is that no one even bothered asking him, why are you talking about him? What are we supposed to learn from this guy? Anyway, so he built in the highest peak in the mountain, probably Mount Tai as well. And it's very dangerous. Yesway Mountain.
Thank you, Master. I just wanted to express my appreciation for Jane Clymer. I picked, not during lectures, but she has shared with me so many insights and backgrounds that are not included in Great Master Shenhua's oral storytelling or in his Dharma. But I'm curious. Is it like a Chinese thing where you tell a story and so-and-so important character was walking down the street and then he died and then you just move on? Because that seems to happen a lot. I'm just not familiar with that storytelling tactic. Usually if someone dies, it's because something happened, there's some kind of explanation, or it's a mile marker in the story. So we just shed characters. I don't know why. I don't know what to make of it. I don't mean to add to the confusion. I just wanted to ask if that's something we should expect moving forward.
Well, Master Xinhua has his reasons. I'm trying to relate to how pertinent it is to us. Whatever his rationale was, it's not clear to us. But a couple of things, as I pointed out, when you listen to the Dharma, you don't understand, have to ask. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. So it tells you the kind of people who were listening there. If I were there, I would not let it go. I don't care. Okay, have to respect my time. And number two, he's telling a story. That means there's a teaching point here, and I don't see any teaching point. Bringing this guy up, and then really basically wasted 5 minutes of my time listening to it. There's no teaching point here at all. So he died. So he didn't go to work the emperor. So what? It's Chinese affair. I can't care less. When you speak Dharma, you have to address the listeners. Back then his students were Americans primarily, Caucasians. So it would be helpful, and this is for your reference, it would be helpful for you to say, this is Vietnamese history, this is Korean history, this is Filipino history, this is American history, this is what? This is how you connect to the history, okay? So you make it interesting. Okay, make it relevant to listeners. You don't just throw things there and say, hey, and he died. Whoopee. And I don't want you to learn this from him. If that's the case, I don't want you to do this. Okay? Just because he did it doesn't mean that we have to follow it. Yes, Jane?
So the way Master YongHua, the way he spoke, he's actually telling this the Qianqing history. And he thread the story, that part of the history, through this Senglang, almost like the foreground main character. And
yes.
then this emperor and Zhang Zong and then other players.
Wu Jian and so forth. Yes, I understand that. But you have to give the listener reference points. And my point is that his listeners were Caucasians. Okay, so those people were on drugs or something. They couldn't care less what he was talking about, fine. But he should be telling them, give reference points.
And a lot of them, and they are from UW, University of Washington, and so they are the academics. And so these are the people, they may not understand the Buddhist sutra.
No, these were hippies. They were not. They're not there during the necessarily during the Chanqi here. These academics would not be able to survive. There's no way the grad students from an American university would be able to survive a Chanqi. No way. They're too weak. Okay, this is primarily for his own disciples and the locals there. If I were to run a Chanqi, I would not run it during the visit from some 20 or 10 university students. They would not survive. It's no point. I'm putting too much work, too many resources behind it for me to, do something that's inappropriate for them. Well, finally, the excuse is that he's young. He started teaching the Dharma, so he was not experienced. This is why. Okay? We learn from mistakes as well as good things. He was not very skilled back then. He only started teaching. It takes time to figure out what to do. Okay? And that's a warning for you. You plan to teach, you have to, to prepare. It takes time for you to make mistakes and learn from it. This, to me, is a lack of teaching skills, teaching techniques. Okay, it's not good use of my time to listen to this. I'm not happy. Okay, all right. So with how I speak. Okay, again, try to give people background information so that they're there themselves. You don't go from Mount Tai to then build how I speak. You see, the question in my mind, is it another peak, another somewhere else on the mountain, or is it a peak within Mount Tai? Yes. 5.
I think Mountain Tai has a lot of peaks, so this is just saying the highest peak in that big mountain.
Thank you. That's my guess as well. But again, don't make me guess, because I don't want to think. This is wrong when you teach Chan, you speak Tan, and I'm making you think. The whole time, the whole day, the whole session is for you to stop thinking. And from here I am making you, is this another mountain? You see, that's the point I'm trying to make. Everything designed, including Dharma talk, is designed to help you not think anymore. You can get information, but you don't have to think. You can be taught, but you don't have to think. You don't speak Dharma like that, okay? Again, he's young. I feel at the time he's not that good. And he got much better later on. Yes, did you have something to say, Jane? You have to raise a number because otherwise they cannot tell. 1.
Sorry, I just want to say the way he tells the story, because now I'm here also attending the Chanqi. I felt like I could listen to him without thinking. The peaks kind of know it's part of Taishan, the Mount Tai, and also he mumbled about this Zhangzhong. Again, maybe there's a cultural difference, and at least I didn't feel I need to think about it. It just whatever he says, I just take in. Thank you.
So it's very dangerous peak, and then of course you can fall down, and he built. He chose stones that are unique, different from those around it. Why? Is there a point? Why do you have to choose different stones and unique, different about it? First of all, a person like Master Sixth Patriarch or Master YongHua, he would find a cave somewhere because it's a lot less work to build than build a house. It's a lot of work. You can, as you can imagine, to pick stones and pile them up and form them into a house is a lot of work. And then put the roof and so forth. It's a lot of work. Okay? And then he has to choose different stones, unique stones. Why? Does he have spiritual skill? This is the point here, where he's not like us. We have to lift it up and bring it, and suffer. He just uses spiritual power and lift it and go. What's the point? Continue. Quite majestic. Next to the water is a waterfall. This water looks very scary. Okay, so he picked very majestic looking stones. Why? It's a house. Who are you trying to impress? Me? Because I'm not. Okay. You see, it tells you about the character of this guy. He goes and he builds a house, and then he picks fancy stones. I was just so happy to just pick a stone. You know how difficult it is to pick a stone and carry it to somewhere and pile it up and arrange it. It's a lot of work. It's back-breaking. I used to carry stones for Master YongHua's temple at Avatamsaka Monastery. I carried for 2 hours every day for 2 weeks, and my back broke. My back froze. That's my punishment. It's not fun. So, and there's a waterfall. The water looks scary. Okay. People were terrified of waterfall, but he lived there. Okay. Many houses were built like this, and that's how they build meditation retreats, houses in that area. Okay. Yes, 5.
Master, I have a question that you mentioned. This is when Master YongHua started teaching, early days, and his skills might not be as advanced as later. So I looked up the time. This is 1971, which is the same year he spoke of Avatamsaka Sutra. And then, as far as I remember, pretty much everything you can find on the CTTP websites or the sutra talks. are around that age. So it's been a long time question for me that why we don't see or if Master YongHua spoke any more sutras after early 70s.
Well, I'm sure he has his reasons why he stopped speaking sutras, because maybe he got his quota. His aim is to transmit a certain types of sutras to us, and that would be the representative of Chinese Mahayana. If you only explain the Lotus Sutra, the Shrangama Sutra, and the Avatamsaka Sutra, that is representative of the advanced Mahayana Dharma. Everything is contained within it, and it's enough for us to cultivate.
So he never stopped speaking Dharma after that, right? He still spoke Dharma.
He didn't. I don't think he was lecturing on sutras anymore. Many masters would go to temples and lecture on the same thing, the same sutra, over and over again. He wasn't doing that.
So what did he lecture on in his mature
I wasn't
days?
sure. I wasn't sure that after he was more, as far as I know, he wasn't. He stopped lecturing sutras, and then he was speaking Dharma more. Okay. I don't know why he stopped lecturing sutras. Maybe because his disciples never requested it. Okay. He lectured a lot of sutras, but internally, the smaller sutras. But it would be interesting if we have access to the tapes that were recorded. He has a room full of cassette tapes, where everything he talked about is recorded, but we don't have access to it. Okay? And as you can imagine, he was lecturing, started teaching in the late 60s, so you're talking about a couple of years, and he lectured extensively, and people weren't very skilled back then. His disciples kind of low level, and clearly not bright enough and not experienced enough. For people like me, I get very annoyed. You don't waste my time. You don't respect me enough. If you waste my time, then you don't respect me enough. You can't do that. Okay? And you have to respect people's time. Everyone who comes or who tunes in, you have to respect their time. You cannot afford to waste their time. And so I see a lot of weaknesses in the way he explained the Chan here. The biggest problem I have is I find it very interesting, a slice of how he was training his disciples, how he was teaching Chan and so forth. That's always fascinating to me, okay, to watch the great teachers, see how they do it, they did it. But clearly, the one thing, a fundamental thing that he made a mistake in is to make me think. Okay? And clearly, he didn't make it, create an environment where he encouraged people to ask questions. If you have to think, then you should ask right away. Spit it out right away. Do not let it bother you, because it bothered me for so many years. I listened to his teachings only in Chinese and a small part in English, and I had so many questions. And he kept on harassing me day after day after day after day. So I learned my lesson. I said, if that's what's going to happen to me, I will not let it happen to you. Okay? Because it's a counter-Chan. You're not supposed to make people think. Okay? Even the Dharma talk here is supposed to cut down your thinking. Okay, so they build a lot of meditation retreats there. in that area. Many people loved following him. So clearly in that area there were a lot of people living there. And so it's kind of strange that he would build vihara to a pure abode, meaning you live by yourself. And then he chose to live in that area where he's accessible. All right? So this Seng Lang here is old style Chinese cultivation. Okay, it's like half and half. And many people follow him and cultivate it there because you remember it's very difficult to access his vihara. So the people who access it are usually people who live around there. And many people live around there. And many people came to follow him and listen to his lecture. He lectures on sutras. Over 100 people lived in the area. So he chose, as a hermit, he chose to live among 100 people, build a house, fancy house, impressive house amongst 100 people. Okay, so you can tell that the training methodology, the training knowledge back then for this Seng Lang is pretty primitive, pretty low level. Yes, Wei Mountain.
Thank you, Master. That was actually a question I had. As Great Master YongHua is recounting the story, it sounds like the Dharma Master moved to the highest peak of Mount Tai, which to me, knowing nothing about the region, sounds like an improbable place to live. So the blank I was trying to fill in was, did people move to be around him, or are these like heroic, adventurous Chinese people just living, hundreds of people living in this treacherous area?
As is on slide 85, they lived there, 100 of them. So basically, the average Chinese would be too terrified to climb the mountain. But the people who live around there would gather around him. Okay, so there are people who, back then, during those times, they love to live in those picturesque places to cultivate. So you see that it's a nice thing about the Chinese culture. They have a lot of people, a lot of land, so therefore they have different interests. And a lot of people, plenty of people who wanted to cultivate, about 100 of them. Look at us. Look at us. How many are there listening in person? When he was lecturing, speaking sutra, there were 100 people who live around the mountains, who would come and listen to him. That's impressive. Okay, as you can imagine, these people, they have tremendous roots, and their offspring will be incredible. The Chinese had incredible blessings. Okay, and because of the long history of planting Mahayana roots. It's very important. Unless you plant Mahayana roots, you will not be able to get very far. This is cultivation which spans lifetimes. It's not something like you learn and go and get a degree in one lifetime. It's many, many lifetimes. So it takes planting of great roots for many of them for a long, long time. And that's why it intrigues me in looking at various cultures. For example, the Chinese, I really admire the Chinese culture because by far they have the best roots. And then I looked at, for example, the Koreans, very impressive. Compared to the Japanese, for example. Japanese, totally unimpressive. It's all marks. Japan is all marks. Flower arrangement, Zen gardens, all marks. That's not Mahayana. Cultivation here in your heart. Only you and your teacher know, no one else. It's not for anyone to show, for display. Okay? And so it shows in the culture, in the mindset. So people, yes, go ahead, JC.
안녕하세요. 제가 장충이 서울로 가는 길에 죽었다는 그 부분을 인터넷으로 검색을 해봤더니 고승전이란 책이 있는데 5권, 6권에 석도암부터 석법화, 석승랑 하면서 쭉 나와 있는데 석승랑 편에 석승랑은 은사 장충과 숲속에서 운동하자는 기약을 맺고 늘 함께 그곳에서 논의렸는데 후에 장충이 부견의 부름을 받아 서울로 가다가 하음산에 이르러 세상을 떠났고 그래서 승랑은 해산의 서북에 있는 금요곡 권윤산에 정사를 세웠다 이렇게 나오거든요. 그래서 장충이 세상을 떠났기 때문에 석승랑이 그 태산의 권윤산 태산 안에 있는 권윤산 정상에 정사를 세우게 된 그 이유를 말하는 것 같습니다. 이상입니다.
Master, after we mentioned about Xianglang, I researched the internet. So basically, there was an old Sanghan stories, and there is this part that they talk about Sanglang, a Dharma master. It started with Sanglang, and then also that the Taoist Zhangchung, they promised each other that they're going to go into the forest and cultivate together. But the Zhangchung passed away. And after that, Venerable XD explained what you read from that internet. It's exactly the same as what's written on this slide. I'm not going to repeat that. But she said, basically, because Zhangchung passed away, that resulted that Shanglang went to this particular top of the mountain and then built all these special houses. But I don't understand what she's saying, really. Sorry. I don't know how it's relevant, how she explained.
Doesn't matter. I made my point already. Okay. Thank you for the research. So a lot of people listen to him lecturing sutras, speaking of Dharma. And he's lectured sutras every day. He worked every day. What else is he going to do at the peak of the mountain? And the Master Shiha now made a comment. And typically, the Dharma masters here in the U.S. or in China or in Korea or whatever, they don't work every day. Okay, and here in the U.S. Master Shiha started this tradition of speaking Dharma every single evening. And people said if you speak too much, people will not listen anymore. And it's not the case. When Master Shiha spoke Dharma, a lot of people were interested. And so and Master Shehua pointed out this thing here. He says, in order to lecture in sutras, it's a lot more work than you realize. It's a hard work because not only do you need to prepare the materials, but you also need to prepare with the chi and the strength, okay? Have the chi to read, to project the voice. More than that, it's not just read and project. The chi is to do a lot more, and among which you've seen tonight. There's a kid who's screaming because there's a ghost, and it happens all the time. This is what happens when you speak Dharma. There will be trouble. Trouble because that's what they do. When you try to do something good, then your karmic obstruction and your enemies will bring their forces to come and bother you. So it's not a small kind of disruptions at all. Like I told you last night, I talked about some minor ghosts who would make this stupid novice monk move around like a crazy person. And he felt this Chinese person is stupid enough to feel something special. He didn't even realize it's not normal to be moving like that. Okay, and draw near these dangerous people, and so it's a lot more than you think. It's more things like that. Small disturbance, you kick them away. You go to a place where these externalists they gather, and you kick them away. It's pretty easy. But when they come here, they dare come here to our temple, and it's because they have some backup. They have some strength. Okay, so this is what we use to train our people. Now I'm using the opportunity to train the abbot here, make it official. It's his job to keep things in line. And if they don't behave, you beat them up. You say, this is my territory, this is my time. Don't you dare come here. You come here, you have to behave. You don't behave, I will cut your head off. That's why you're an abbot. Because you can do it when others can't. I gave you plenty of tools to do that. You can pick any tool you like. And they can't. That's why you're here. So anyway, it's a lot more work than you think. Okay? It's always, the world is such that you bring in great good, then the great evil will come to stop you. That's part of the process. That's how you improve. You cannot improve unless there's some resistance. Remember, it's very much like working out. You work out, you push the weight that you cannot push so that you become stronger. Is that clear? So it's part of the process. They will come stop us. They will come and harass us. They will come and cause a lot of trouble. That's part of the process. It's normal. And we learn to deal with it. And by dealing with it, you become stronger. That's all. You have nothing to worry about. You have to be patient. Okay? No one's trying to impress you at all. We're learning. Okay? We're all learning. We get better and better and better. That's all. Okay, this is not a TV show or movie where everything is perfect, everything is edited and everything. No, this is raw. We're all learning. Okay? All right. So you see, it's a lot more involved than you think. So Master YongHua says, you only reveal to them, he himself has to gather the chi, okay? Because why do you need to gather the chi? Because when I speak the Dharma, and I need to beat through your ego or your self-defense. I need to break through all of that for you to receive it. If not, okay, it bounces right back. It doesn't register. Do you understand? Teaching is very important. You go, this is why your kids, after they come to our temple and they have some kung fu, they go to class and the teacher talks to them, it bounces right back. It bounces right back. This, I'm not impressed. I remember very, very early on, a kid who was a son of some ex-disciple of mine, the trader who now betrayed me, and he went to Master Hsuan temple now, and they took him. Anyway, in Long Beach, and I saved this kid's skin. I saved their skins, and he came to me and he said, "I have no respect for my teachers." I said, "Of course not. You are second dhyana. How can a college professor reach second dhyana? That's not possible for them. So whatever they teach you, it bounces right back." It takes a lot for you to speak the Dharma, for you to register. If your teacher is lower level than you, it doesn't register. Yes, 5.
So I heard that about the temple kids. But that sounds like problematic because they likely would not have teachers with samadhi higher than them. So how can they learn from school?
Well, you have to teach them to respect teachers for their worldly knowledge. That's what they're there to get them, not to be impressed. It's too arrogant for you to walk in there, impress me. You have to open up. They don't need to break through to you. You have to be willing to accept the information.
Okay, thank you, Master.
If you lower your guards, then, then there's no resistance. Don't look at people, "What have you got for me? How good are you? How strong are you?" You have that kind of attitude, you're not a good student. We have plenty of those. They don't stay because they're a waste of time. Okay, so Master Hsuan says, you have to have a lot of energy, and Master Hsuan says, project the voice is not even a point here. Okay, he says you can't lecture a sutra like Phaka. You understand? When you speak sutra, there is a purpose. You need to convey the information. You don't just put people to sleep. You don't just speak words. It's nonsense. And talk. You just talk. No, there's a message. It's a story. I'm speaking to you right now because trying to teach you something. You don't just talk. He lectured sutra, he talked like that. I don't know who Phaka was. Who's Phaka? Anyone knows? Go ahead, go for it.
Emitofuo Master. In the story, Great Master YongHua didn't describe much about Mount Tai and Kunming, and also it sounds very remote because it's further away from the capital. But in reality, Mount Tai and Kunming is very, very beautiful places. I happened to be in there a few days in my pilgrimage back then, and it's a very wonderful place in high elevation, and there are a lot of temples and a lot of tourists, and the scenery is very, very beautiful. It's very much like Halong Bay, but it's on the ground. So they have the forest stone with like all kind of different stone. It make up like a garden or forest, and it's very beautiful, very unique. And it's not surprised that many people get there and cultivate. There are also a lot of temples out there as well. So maybe it's not mentioned in here, but the reality is a beautiful place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's where I like to retire to. There's one spot. Thank you for bringing it up. Now I have another spot besides the Bahamas. Yes, 5.
And that's what the Thai.
See, now everyone perks up. Yeah, oh, beautiful places, I like to go.
And that's what Thai is named after, just by the way.
I see. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to go and cultivate in a place like that. But when you think about it, if it's that nice looking, wouldn't you rather spend time looking at the scenery than meditating? Yes, 5.
And just some information for Master Faker. So Master Faker is born in 1892 and then passed away in 1972. So he was the abbot of Baolian Chan Monastery in Hong Kong. Is that the same monastery that the master has been to, Baolian Canshi?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he was the master there.
Mm.
So there was some controversial about he in his later life he did a lot of commercialized project, try to build a huge 大雄宝殿, huge temple, and then big Buddha, and a very big Buddha, and takes a lot of resources and donations. And he gave the project to his nephew, who has a very short time in Sangha to manage. So that was controversial.
I see. It seems like that's a trend nowadays. Excuse me. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about this because I lost my voice. But monks nowadays, it seems to big projects, visible projects, to get support for them. It's easier to get support and get recognition, make a name for yourself by doing these big projects. Whereas when you cultivate for yourself, no one knows. That's why it's called the Dharma ending age, because now is all facade. It's no more cultivation. No one knows how to cultivate anymore. Okay, it's too bad, and we hope to change that. I hope that your generation, because my generation is disappointing to me already. But I hope in your generation you'll be able to challenge yourself to be better than us. My generation, to be honest, my generation are piss poor teachers. They don't have good teachers. I wasn't trained properly. I had to figure things out myself. And a few teachers came to teach me, and that's about it. But in terms of Mahayana, I think we have so much good things we can do. We are in such great demand nowadays. I don't see how people can function without Mahayana. The times are so challenging. Life is so overwhelming. You look anywhere, you're overwhelmed, and you're miserable. I was speaking recently. Today, I said, I didn't realize that. As a lay person, I drove up from LA to here. I drove through 152. I saw these big trees. And I said, that tree, it was twice as tall when I first saw it a long, long time ago. I will not tell you how many years ago, how many decades ago. Okay? But it's so tall. And I said, I remember because they really stand out. Okay? 152, there's these tall trees, clumps of tall trees, maybe 5, 6 of them. And they stand out because that's the only tall tree you see. I love tall trees. And I realized that, wow. And I'm looking back then, as a lay person, okay, with the education, with the girlfriend, the wives, and all the things. And I said, wow, I was so unhappy. I was so overwhelmed by life. And it's no different for people nowadays, for all of you. Life is overwhelming, yes? It's not until I encountered Mahayana that I was able to wrestle control back and find meaning in life instead of just living, just making it through another day. You know? I'm just a victim of life. And this is what I see people. You are victims of your lives. You have no choice. You make these choices early in life, and they pull you along, and you lose control, and you're submerging, you're drowning slowly. That's scary. And that's how we all live. And it's only through events like this, where the places like this, you come and listen, say, hey, listen, I need a break from the craziness of my life so that I can clear my head. Okay? Most people, they can only hope to find a place, a church somewhere, and they walk in, they sit on those pews, and they calm themselves down a little bit, and then half an hour later they leave. That's very important for people. It's more than that. It's more than just calming yourself down. You're learning, you're acquiring and developing skills to calm yourself down everywhere, anywhere. Okay, so I know it's hard to quantify it and justify it, because it's much easier for me to say, let's do fundraising and build a huge temple. Let's call it the Pure Land Cultural Center of the West. Okay? And people say, wow, that sounds like a fantastic project. How much do you need? I said, about $500 million to start. But I'm thinking maybe $1 billion. And they feel, oh yeah, Master is thinking big. I like to be on board. I'm a big thinker too. Huh? Yeah? And I have my photo taken with beautiful looking kids. The future of Mahayana. I mean, geez, that's what you do. You sell it. So I build my reputation. I build these things here, these structures here. But you still miserable. Huh? Yeah? Right? So we, you are coming here and you're participating, you're actually making a huge difference. People are, are beginning to see that there's a difference in your children. They're happier because you're happier. Remember, your children are happier because you are happier inside. They happy because they hang around happy people, happier people. And that's the same as the most obvious. You can see that it rubs off on every single person you come in contact with, folks. It's a quiet revolution. Okay? You're making a difference in a very small way. And I'm teaching you now. You Koreans should hold hands together. Don't fight. We're in this because we have big things to do. Let's forget about our personal differences. Okay? Forgive and forget and move on. You hold hands and say, "Oh Lord, we're all this together. Help us out. Praise the Lord." Okay? Yes, Way Mountain. That's what I want you to see. You think we let the kids scream and make noises? Because I want you to see how free flowing the kids are and how they feel about themselves. You see? They're not threatened by me at all, which is a horrible thing. No respect, no fear. How can you give me money, a lot of money, if you're not impressed by me? Okay? But it's a quiet thing. People come and they meet with you, they talk to you, and they walk away. They say, I feel better about myself, about my life, about my family. Okay? Yeah. You can be yourself. All right? Any questions or comments? And you are all helping. I know that. It's not this, all this could have not happened unless a lot of people, I have a lot of people who are been quietly and selflessly helping me. You know? So I appreciate it. Yes, Way Mountain.
Master, last time Master also mentioned that Venerable YongHua started the tradition that he speak Dharma every night. Can I please request that Master we will have the same tradition that we will speak the Dharma, Master will speak the Dharma every night as well?
Forget it. Then if I do that, no one will listen anymore. I'm not Master YongHua. I wish I were qualified to speak Dharma every night. You notice that I speak Dharma based on Master YongHua's Dharma, because you want to learn from the people who have wisdom. Not, you don't want to learn from me. I have no wisdom whatsoever. I want you to learn from the fundamentals, from the great wisdom people. Okay, we have a lot of Buddhism. The Chinese have a lot of very wise teachers. We should learn from them. It's good use our time. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yes, the Chinese, therefore, they do Chinese things that are not applicable to us and so forth, and the different times, Sung Lang, so far to me, is good for Jung because they are into scenic and panoramas for cultivation. Good, go for it. Okay, but we learn from these great teachers. It's fantastic to me. It's so fascinating to see how these great thinkers think and behave. For me, the sixth patriarch came and taught me for a few minutes, less than 1 minute or two. And I said, wow, that's how I should be teaching too in the future, when I figure it out. It's fantastic, They get to the point so quickly. It's beautiful. It's virtuosity. If you look at, the pianist or violin player, and you see how the virtuosity they put into that, and say, wow, that's fascinating, right? I love it. The artists, Van Gogh, so forth. Look at wow, this is so captivating. You look into Rembrandt, I look into Rembrandt, and I forgot about myself. I'm serious. I look at Rembrandt, and I say, wow, I forgot even who I was, where I was. I saw the painting. It's fascinating. The masters. So I hope in the future you too, will be bring the virtuosity and the mastery in speaking of Dharma, in teaching of Dharma, and so forth. It's so fantastic. It's fun. Okay? Okay. Questions and comments? But again, it's because of you coming, because of you are getting something out of it. It's real to you. Yes, GMT.
입지윤혜선님 코멘트입니다. 어제 나온 법우스님 관련 법문에서 금이 아니라 가시회초리가 죽통에 들어 있었다고 합니다.
Master, remember the story that there was a bamboo container, bamboo branch, and then there was a gold pieces inside?
Yes.
And so, I don't know her name exactly.
입지윤혜선 Venerable X's sister?
The Venerable XE's sister researched, and she found that it's not really gold inside that bamboo container. That was a whipping branch with thorns. Can you?
I see. Okay. So Eson did research? Okay. Yes, Jane.
Thank you, Master. I want to clarify. In Chinese, 金条, the gold tail, the pronunciation is exactly the same as the whipping willow. And 金条, it writes in different Chinese characters, but the pronunciation is the same. And so that was a very polite way Master Daoan, send a message. Just try to
The message
clarify.
being?
The being is, if you look at the 金条, it's not the gold. And you should get the message is you use this, the whipping willow to whip yourself.
He apparently didn't get that. He told someone to whip him.
Yeah,
Wei Mao.
it's to be whipped.
I see. Wei Mao.
Thank you, Master. I would like to express my sincere hope that our Chinese Dharma sisters and brothers will continue to speak up and offer these insights, especially the day that we're talking about it, because that changes my total perspective. And I don't speak Chinese. It really helps me. And hearing it when you share that really changes my takeaways, because I was talking with Jeannie about it, and we're trying to figure out the gold's in the bamboo because it's heavier and it would hurt more.
So American. Attached to gold, bullions.
When I say it's all Chinese to me, that's an American colloquialism for I have no idea.
Yeah, it's probably not Chinese and not even gold. 金条, whatever it is, it has nothing to do with punishing or breaking precepts or whipping it. It's something else. It's not clear to me it's gold at all. I doubt it's gold at all. But anyway, it's a Chinese thing. It's okay. And yes, absolutely, we all should pitch in, speak Dharma for each other. And this is a collective learning process. Because if the Chinese didn't, they would lose this piece of history. That's beautiful. That is part of their heritage, the wisdom heritage. That, and I assure you, I really have tremendous admiration for Chinese culture. It's very, very profound. So you cannot take it at lightly. These sages, like Master Hsuan, wisdom is incredible. Okay, even a person like Tao An, Master Tao An, his wisdom is inconceivable for most of you. And for him to do those things, it's for a reason. And so we shouldn't take it lightly. We should try to preserve it, try to understand it, and preserve it so that maybe if we didn't understand, someone else will explain it for us. Okay? It's part of our history. It's part of our common heritage. It's not just Chinese. It's for all of us. This is what's special about America, is that we embrace everyone. America is no American. Okay? Look at us. We are different skin color, different height, and so forth. That's America. America is all of us together. And we embrace all cultures. Yes, continue.
Thank you, Master. I couldn't agree more or say it nearly as well. And, Jane, when you explain that the gold in the bamboo doesn't have the same spelling, but is said the same way as like gold tail in Chinese, what I'm hearing is it's like a French double entendre, where you say the same word, or one word has two meanings. And to me, the depth of that is just so powerful. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. And are we back to where we were? Where we stopped in the tape?
We stopped on 113.
That's many more to go.
Right.
So Master Hsuan now made fun of this famous Hong Kong master. He talks like an old lady, okay? And he made fun of his name as well. Fa is what I call one of my ex-disciples as well. Xian Fa. It's a boat, okay? His boat cannot travel. He cannot carry people at all. He couldn't even recognize people, or he couldn't recognize anyone. No, he could recognize the ones who have money. It's not true. But Fa is a small boat, so he doesn't need to carry a lot of people. Okay, you only need to carry the people that are helpful. Again, the concept of Fa in Chinese is that it's basically a small boat. Okay, it cannot carry a lot of people, but it's supposed to help people, carry people across the sea of suffering. So Master Seng Lang was speaking Dharma, was lecturing every day, every day, and spoke the Dharma. Okay, and back then it made sense because you have 100 of these people who have nothing else to do. They watch the scenery all day, and in the evening they have nothing else to do, so they go to a Dharma lecture. All right? So he's never tired. And that's because he was enjoying speaking a Dharma. And the emperor of the Qin dynasty, Fujian, heard about him. And so clearly they were doing had a lot of gossiping. And he respected my Master Seng Lang, adored his virtue, and sent envoys to invite him back to the capital, but he refused. This is what separates, to me, the better teachers and from the rest. The better teachers are virtuous. They're not looking for recognition, doing it because honestly, they enjoy doing it. Trust me, they're not stupid. They do it because they like it. Okay? Don't think they do it, oh, I suffer so much, I made so much sacrifices. Baloney. Okay? So these teachers, they did it because they enjoy it, and for them to go to the capital city and get recognition from the president, from the emperor, from a governor, and so forth, is not fun. That's the bottom line. It's not good use of the time. When you get older, you appreciate your time. You said that my time is going to be fun, fun, fun. Okay? And part of my fun is speaking the Dharma. That's why he spoke every day. Hung asked me to speak every day. Forget it. I don't like speaking Dharma. I'm not like them. Let's get this straight. Okay? But the Master Seng Lang would not go, you see. So he's not impressed by the sponsorship or the recognition from the emperor. Okay, it's not why it wasn't why he's doing this. It's a much bigger goal. It's not to please the emperor or take care of the Chinese empire. It's much bigger. It's for us. For me, now I look at my era, I look at him and say, wow, that's a virtuous teacher. Okay? It's worthwhile to go into his teachings, whatever. At least we don't have the teaching, at least follow his example. You know? You do it, and regardless, you don't try to get recognition, even when it's given to you. Okay? The time of Fujian wanted to eliminate Sanghans, okay? So he came up with a ruse, that is to give them exams. They gave exams to Sanghans, because Sanghans, by the way, another thing, if you're serious about your role, is that you, monks and nuns, should memorize the Shrangama mantra. That's much what my master taught us. If you're fully ordained monk or nun, you should memorize the Shrangama mantra. Okay? And so that's one of the exams. Back then, we were supposed to recite the Shrangama mantra before we are allowed to become fully ordained. Nowadays, people are not good anymore, so they are not required to do this. But if you really want to make a difference, because Shrangama mantra is a mantra that will hold the ghosts in check. If the ghosts misbehave, one of the tools we use is beat them up with that. Okay? They have no defense against it. They cannot defend themselves. They get hurt. Doesn't matter how good they are. And so they give exam to Sanghans. I don't know what kind of exam, but not important. They attain precepts, uphold precepts, they cultivate based on precepts and so forth. So that's what their exams. Fujian is giving, is coming up with excuses to get rid of the monks. And so, of course, they will report that I saw that monk there drinking at the bar recently, so that's enough. And they throw him out, okay? Eternally life. However, the emperor had tremendous respect for Seng Lang, so that's why he never questioned Senglang Vihara on Mount Kunlun, and never even tried to give exam to those monks. And how many monks were there? Vihara. Not a whole lot. And that's why, this day and age, I think we should be very, 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 very appreciative of the fact we're able to reach more people via the internet, via videos, via YouTube and so forth. Okay, but that's just the base. We still need you to go and see the people, very much like I have to go up here and see you, and talk to you. And we need to go physically send people to places and for them to work and help people. Today, I went to lunch at Gold Forest because I wanted to see the old monk. And I talked to him, and after a while, I said, I'm going to open my big mouth and tell you to fire your acupuncturist and save yourself a lot of money, people a lot of money. And this guy is no good. You planning to go see him too? Anyway, but don't fire him. I'm always, I said, don't fire him yet. Just don't go see him for 3 weeks, 3 months, and then give some excuses, just in case I'm wrong. Okay, so the emperor says, Fujian says, I don't like you monks, but Master Senglang, I like him. If anyone who hangs around him is special, is exempt. You see? It's an attitude as well. You know, I used to when I left my master's temple, the outside world only knew a place called City of 10,000 Buddhas. So everywhere I went, even though I was a reject, I was not good enough to stay there. Everyone's very impressed. He said, you are from CTTB? Seriously? You're Master Hsuan's disciples? Would you like to come and stay in my temple? You become next in line. Just like that. And it happened not just to me, but to my peers as well. Three of us are losers, so we all left. We couldn't take it. Yeah. And so, you see, the Master Hsuan set standards at his way place. And if you can survive for so long, you got something there for yourself. For you to survive for 1 week, you got something there yourself. You see? Yeah. So the emperor says, his master here is very lofty in virtues. So the people who was able to hang around him and not run away are special people. We treat them differently. We give them special considerations. So no need to disrupt these people. They're cultivating. All right? And the next emperor, Emperor Yaoxing, this is part of the history of the Tang dynasty, right? No? The Qin dynasty? Okay, so this is Master Hsuan came back to his historical facts. Yao Jin, Yao Jin, Yao Jin dynasty, and Yao Xing was the name I heard his name before. And the emperor respected the Senglang as well. So you see, word spread around China. It's disrespect. It doesn't mean that you have a big temple, you have a big reputation or anything. This is the emperor likes you. But when you come, you can't come because it's too far away. You see? Yeah. Does it make sense to you? Would you rather have that, or you rather have someone like Elon Musk, who makes electric cars to kill everyone? What is the matter with people? Why aren't they going to hydrogen technology or something? EV technology is very bad for you. You are all magnetic animals. Big batteries will mess up your magnetic field. They mess you up. Don't stay around there very, very long. Don't expose yourself like that very long. It's unhealthy. It's not healthy for you. And the world, this is demonic. The world is going EV. It's scary. You should go for hydrogen and other technologies. EV is not, it saves the environment, but then it turns you into old mutants and lichens or something. And vampires. You're not normal. They fry up your brains. This is scary. They're destroying you. They're not just destroying, well, they're destroying your brain, destroying your bodies. Anyway, people are so stupid. Okay, and at the time there's new story, and we can stop here tonight. You can recapitulate, reread this next time around. That's tomorrow night. Thank you, everyone. I am.